NEWtral Zone. Because behold, I make all things new. And so as we move forward together, living, loving, and learning, particularly in this teaching, what I'd like to goose you with this week is the idea of doing it afresh, anew, to move into what we often call the neutral zone, which is kind of an in-between place, but to do so from a new idea, from a fresh mind and a fresh purview. Now, with that came the ability for us this past week to have a holiday, Rosh Hashanah. I love the fact that we get to have 2 New Years. Well, I count 3 because I always count my birthday as a personal New Year. So, you know, everybody celebrates January 1st, and we all do that. And it's like, you know, new calendar page, new ideas. And then it comes to your birthday, and usually we have that kind of awareness. Well, now I'm going to move forward and do this. And then we have this wonderful opportunity that the Jewish culture gives to us with Rosh Hashanah, where we have the shofar, which is the ram's horn, and that usually precedes people. And what it is about the desire to reestablish that connection with God. And I love that idea. I love the idea that we're doing that, but also the fact that it's a new year. So if things haven't been quite the way you wanted and your list isn't where it's supposed to be by September, you can go, oh, ha, 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 Happy New Year, Rosh Hashanah, Mazel Tov. Let's go forward and celebrate. And what we also do is that there are symbolic foods, such as apples dipped in honey to evoke a sweet new year. Ooh, doesn't that sound sweet? It's wonderful. It's a very gentle yet meditative and reflective concept in preparation for then the 10 days of atonement in Yom Kippur. But today, we're going with a new year. We're celebrating. We're celebrating the fact that a city such as New York, who, I won't even go political, but where I will go is with the subway kittens. Are you all familiar with that? The subway kittens. Okay, well, you know we have our animal kinship circle here, and you know that is near and dear to my heart. The brief story, because you're going to want to go onto the web to see it, because you want to see the little cuties of Arthur and August. They're 2 little male little kittens that somehow got lodged under the 3rd rail in the subway in New York. And one of the workers found out about it, and they stopped the trains until they could extract the kittens. Now, some people were like, well, how can you do that? It's the middle of the workday. We have to go. We have to get to work. We have things to do. They're kittens. Right. Expressions of God. Somebody had the presence of mind. And what I thought was really interesting, because they suspended service on the Q and the B lines in Brooklyn, but the 2 little felines were found on the tracks near Church Avenue. Coincidence? I think not. So we're celebrating the idea of that. We're celebrating the fact that there was a kinship connection, that someone understood that those 2 little kittens had just as much right, and who knows what they were representing to be there, and that what higher order may have been taking place by having the subway cars stopped for that hour. Maybe it stopped and saved something else. Maybe it gave those commuters a chance to connect within and do some prayer work or get some resolution before they showed up for work. We don't know. We may never know. The individuals will know. I just think it's a really wonderful thing that subway kittens can exist in one of our fast-paced worlds like today. So, New Year, Rosh Hashanah. We're coming out of the old into the new, the neutral zone. And Reverend Kathy talked about the many things that came from the book Words Can Change Your Brain by Andrew Newberg, Doctors Andrew Newberg and Mark Robert Walden. I'm going to talk a little bit about this today, and happy, over the weekend, it's now in paperback. It hasn't been. So we don't have it in the bookstore yet, but if you would like to order it, I know that they will assist you in that. It's an extraordinary book that talks about words changing your brain. In fact, their motto on their website, which, well, wait till you hear this one. Something really new. Change your words, change your brain, transform your life. Oh, right. Let me write that down. I never heard that before. And, yeah, because if it takes, people with doctors in front of their names, and sometimes they wear white jackets in their pictures, if it takes that to get people to understand that words can change your brain and transform your life, then yay. We all on the inside inner crowd know that Ernest Holmes may have said that so many decades ago, and now maybe it's just catching on. Timing is everything in life. Ba-dum-bum. So we have the opportunity to learn from these wonderful men. One is a neuroscientist, and the other's a therapist. And they come together and they talk about these ideas in terms of teaching the fact that words shift who you are. I think 2 weeks ago when I was here, I referenced again Dr. Maso Emoto, you know, the gentleman with hidden messages in the water. You all remember that. And what I talked about was the fact that this Dr. Emoto proved that when you took water and you put it in a clear vessel and you projected negative words onto it or taped a postcard onto it that said something like hate or war, that the molecules within that water shifted, and they took pictures of it, and it looked fragmented. It looked distress. And if you had a vial of water over here by which you were projecting the word love or joy or fun, and you taped that word on it, you took pictures of the molecules of that water, and it looked like snowflakes. So we know scientifically now, it's no longer just a philosophy or some mystic's, revelation, that those words change the chemistry of our body and how we think, feel, and demonstrate. We now have scientists. I don't know about you, when I grew up, on television commercials, that's why I said something about the white coat. They would always have commercials with doctors in white coats and little pen pockets and glasses, and you knew that they must really know. They are scientists, they're doctors, they're rocket scientists, and if they have that white coat on and they tell you 9 out of 10 doctors recommend, well, it's a given when you go to the store. That's the one you're going to buy. So there's that concept and idea about the authority factor, but now we have neuroscientists, physicists, and mystics telling us what some of us already knew, that the words that we use generate a vibration within us that changes how our lives outpicture. It's one of the reasons we have things like a nonviolent communication class. So we learn how to speak from that idea. I'm not talking about just airy-fairy, oh, life is good, oh, have a happy day. No, yes, those are lovely if they're coming from the authenticity of who you are. And the words that you choose and create and use in your dialogue makes a huge difference in your life and in your physical body. So these gentlemen, which, by the way, this will be a plug, most of you aren't aware of the fact that they have an article in the Science of Mind magazine every single dingle month. A brief little, half page on each side article about this whole concept. In their first book, which was Your Brain on God or something like, or How God Changes Your Brain or whatever. So every month, you can get a little snippet of that. If the idea of reading an entire tome this size is daunting, or you need to take little nibbles, it's kind of like eating every 3 hours instead of 3 big meals, get the Science of Mind magazine every month, and or maybe join us on Thursday mornings for the new study group. But they're there every month contributing this wisdom with little ideas and sometimes exercises that they talk about in this book. Well, in this book, what they present is something called interhemispheric communication. Ooh, now, did I just suddenly put on a white coat or what? Interhemispheric communication. Basically, what that means between you and me, the left brain, the right brain talk happily. There's been a whole lot of press and conversation, even in our community, about left brain people, right brain people. And, well, you're a left brain person because you're linear and you do numbers. Well, you're a right brain person because you like pictures and circles and you're fluffier. Well, sometimes we say that about each other, and sometimes it's accurate. And what I've been working on the past couple of months is not having it be either, because, again, that's a separation, isn't it? What sometimes starts out as a category or a label to help us understand and discern something, then becomes a reason to separate and judge. Oh, well, you're a right brain, you're one of those, fluffy types, you can't think, you can't do that. Well, yeah, maybe. But that doesn't mean that I don't have a left brain. that I don't have the ability to look at a column or do something or make a list. And the same goes for the people who keep getting labeled, oh, you're left brain, you're so linear, you don't understand. Well, that's not true either. Left brain people have a right brain capacity to be just as creative. Maybe just as fluffy, I don't know. The idea being that this inter-hemispheric communication is truly about finding ways, using words, to bring the left and the right brain, all the lobes and the parts of the brain, together in balance, in a oneness and a wholeness, to speak and function and act in the world with compassion. Isn't that what we're all about? I mean, most of us who want to come to something like a center for spiritual living, some of that is, yes, to learn tools how to improve our lives. Absolutely. The other thing is about this unspoken, sometimes, desire to be of service, to be compassionate with one another, either to give forth that compassion or to feel it back towards us. So these doctors give you an opportunity to do that. So they talk about 12 strategies. In fact, it says 12 conversation strategies to build trust, resolve conflict, and increase intimacy. Ooh. See, I find it funny. See, this is the fluffy part. I read that, and that sounds like such a linear description of such a fluffy process. But that's because there's that balance. So the 12 things that they are suggesting here are, number 1, relax. Okay, yeah, very well, whoever did that. Yes, we hear it sometimes, but we don't do it, right? We're still alert. Number 2, stay present. Well, I'm going to stop on that one for a second, because how more Buddhist can you get? Steve Flowers does the mindfulness meditation, Thich Nhat Hanh, pieces in every step. Eckhart Tolle talks about be here now. That's Ram Dass. Eckhart Tolle is being here, that now idea, returning to that, the power of now. Well, that's exactly the same thing, staying present. Number 3 is cultivating inner silence. Well, that's right up our alley. We are a spiritual community. We do church on Sundays. We're a center the rest of the week. And we cultivate the idea of inner silence with meditation and reflection. Number 4, increase positivity. Pollyanna lives. Number 5, reflect on your deepest values. Reflect on your deepest values. Most of us could pretty much knee-jerk respond on a couple of things that we consider values. But the idea of what is really, truly, intrinsically, authentically who we are, take that quiet time to reflect on that for yourself, and we will continue to do that as a center as we grow. Number 6, access a pleasant memory. Think happy thoughts. Peter Pan, J.M. Barrie knew that. When Peter Pan wanted the darling children to fly, there was the suggestion of think happy thoughts. Think about the puppies, think about Christmas, think about candy, think about, and as little Michael did that, suddenly he started lifting off the ground because he was thinking and accessing pleasant memories. Now, I am not suggesting that in the sense of living in the past, very different. Because we're talking about the NEWtral Zone. So I'm not talking about living in the past. What I do know is that when the darling children in Peter Pan, or when I've worked with people in counseling or in classes, when we access a pleasant memory, the vibration changes, their countenance changes, the energy in the room changes, because they're living in that happy moment. And again, it's not done in an airy-fairy way of, yeah, there's stuff going on in my life and it's tough and it's rough, but oh no, everything's good, everything's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about authentically accessing the pleasant memory, particularly if you're about to go do something difficult. You have a phone call to make. You're about to walk in for a job interview. There's something going on, and instead of being in your, that person, how could they bill me twice for that? I'm not going to, take that. They know better, Instead of that, or you're going to face someone that you have a conflict with. Oh, what are they going to say? And you get all tense and tight. What about relaxing, staying present, and accessing a happy memory and something positive before you make that phone call or you enter that room? Number 7, observe nonverbal clues. Okay. Got any clues? Really? And or simple ones, I know. And those aren't the bigger ones that you usually see in dynamics on day-to-day conversations and communications. The point being, if you're present, when you're present, you can read the subtle clues. The subtle clues, the nonverbal ones. And that might give you a clue to, oh, that person's in fear. That person's not present. So I need to bring myself back in order to make it an open, safer space for this dialogue and conversation, for this interhemispheric communication. Number 8, express appreciation. Well, those of you who were here 2 weeks ago knew that it was Appreciation Day, and I charged you all, encouraged you all to go out and appreciate people. Take your stone that you were given and give it to someone, or take the stone and notice it and appreciate something about yourself. Go out and praise and raise the vibration of your life. Show appreciation. Number 9, speak warmly. Speak warmly. There is a difference in how you answer people that can have a flat monotone, which is almost a verbal clue, with speaking warmly and being engaged. Very simple, subtle change. I'm going to have trouble with number 10. Speak slowly. Well, I think I do when I'm really trying to make a point, and I think I speak slowly if I'm in counseling and there's something really significant taking place. And when I do, I realize that I'm often a lot more present. I'm able to at least breathe more if I'm speaking slowly. Number 11, speak briefly. Yeah, okay. And those of you who keep timing my talks and go, excuse me, 30 minutes? Okay, so thanks for coming. And so it is. Ta-da! Yes, brevity. Okay, speak briefly. Number 12. 12 I got. 12 I got. Listen deeply. It's something that as a practitioner and a minister, we're trained to do. And I know that some people can do it with a little more ease and grace than others. But even right now, if I just challenged you to listen deeply, what might you hear right now? You can keep your eyes open or closed, but listen deeply. Perhaps you began by just hearing the rustling of someone beside you, or the sound of the electric hum, or then there was a little voice, this still small voice that started to say something to you and you went, oh, no, I can't think about that, hear that right now. I'll do that later. I'm in a public forum. Oh, that's deep. Ooh, that's later. Ooh, time. And then you come back. Or perhaps you heard something wonderful again from that still small voice that said, behold, you are my beloved in whom I am well pleased. Yay! Listen deeply. So the concept again for this book is that not only do prayer and spiritual practice reduce stress and anxiety, they say scientifically that 12 minutes a day of meditation, only 12, will transform your life. How many of you meditate each day? Okay. One of the things that we offer, teach, and encourage in a center like this and across the planet is about the practice of meditation. We also try and teach certain classes so that we demystify meditation, because I know most people, particularly I was the same way when I first started, taking Science of Mind classes and meditating. I was like, I can't meditate. I think too fast. I speak too fast. I can't sit still. I'm too fluffy. Can't meditate. But you learn. It's a practice. It's a skill. And there really isn't anything too mystical about it. There are various forms of meditation, so as you get used to it, you can expand and grow with that. And if the scientists are saying to you, a therapist and a neuroscientist. So you've got sort of both sides of the coin, and a couple of ministers that I know of, 1,200 or so of us, are saying to you that if you can add meditation into your daily practice, you will change your life. I can't say it any more briefly than that. Now, you may not be able to work up to 12 minutes right away, because you'd be like me. Oh, yeah, and I have to do this. Oh, and I have to do that. Oh, all is good, all is God. Oh, yeah. It may take you a while to get there. And the intention and the commitment is the key. 12 minutes. Contemplating, they also go on to say, contemplating a loving God rather than a punitive God reduces anxiety and depression and stress. Wow. Increased prayer and meditation permanently makes permanent changes, numerous structures and functions in the brain altering of your values and the way you perceive reality. It's mind altering. Well, a lot of the mystics, and even the writer like Paul Coelho and Carlos Castaneda, they talked about during the 60s or their spiritual quest, they actually went to drugs to try and do that. And then when they got off drugs, they did it through meditation and some other things. And suddenly they went, oh, that's what we were looking for. That's it. So the idea of a spiritual practice and meditation is a mind-altering tool that you have available to you 24/7, and it's free, easy, and legal. Abraham Hicks said, and Reverend Kathy used this quote last week, and I really want, I wrote her and asked her to send it to me because it sparked my next part of the topic. Abraham Hicks says, you can't take sides against anything. If you would just be one who is for things, you would live happily ever after. If you could just leave the against part out. Now, you could take that quote and think about what I was talking about, left brain, right brain, You're not for, you're one side or the other, one team or the other, and you're against this, you're against that. And you could do that. And then the reason why that sparked for me when she read that was that it reminded me of the Sermon by the Sea that Dr. Ernest Holmes gave. And I'm going to just read a couple snippets from that. So imagine, if you will, we're at the Pacific Grove Conference grounds at Asilomar, and he's in the chapel. And he gives this Sermon by the Sea. And he said, it would be wonderful indeed if a group of persons should arrive on the earth who were for something and against nothing. This would be the summum bonum of human organization, wouldn't it? Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of his soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, and another exalted being. Find me one person who is no longer in fear of the universe or of God or of man or of anything else, and you will have brought to me someone in whose presence we may sit, and fear shall vanish as clouds before the sunlight. Find me someone who is given all that he has to love without morbidity, and I will have found the lover of my soul. Why? Because he or she will have revealed to me the nature of God and proved to me the possibility of all human souls. Find me one person who can get his own littleness out of the way, and he shall reveal to me the immeasurable magnitude of the universe in which I live. Find me one person who knows how to talk to God, really, and I shall walk with him or her through the woods, and everything that seems inanimate will respond. The leaves of the trees will clap their hands, and the grass will grow soft under him. That's Ernest Holmes. And for some of you who are so used to his textbook, which is, maybe by someone else's description, very linear, he has the soul of the poet, which exactly shows you what I'm talking about. That's religious science, love and law, left and right, coming together as one. And in particular, with what's going on in the universe for us right now, I thought the Abraham Hicks quote and the Ernest quote was really significant. And what we're doing this month, Denise talked about it a little bit, is that we've been practicing, or we've given you information about kindspring.org and the 21-day kindness challenge. We like these 21-day plans around here because scientists said that in 21 days you can make or break a habit. And we often have our 21-day prayer-a-thons where the practitioners pray for the community. We do different things in 21 days so that we cultivate a new habit. So kindspring.org, if you want to go onto the website, has a 21-day challenge, and there are tons and tons and tons of little suggestions and ideas of things that you can do to be kind. One of the things, I'm not saying you have to do 21 days, but this coming up week is 9/11. And there are many organizations, and there'll be many tributes and news things about choosing to do something positive, creative, and kind on that day in response to what happened years ago. So we have for you, you were handed by our lovely greeters in the front, a little card from Kindness. It's a challenge, and there's blank space on the back by which we're asking to at least do one kind thing on 9/11. You can do it and take credit for it. You can do it anonymously. You can do it on the internet. You can do it in person. You can pick up the phone. However you are called to do it. No act is too small. And then if you feel so moved, you can fill out what it is, and you can put your name or not. You can put anonymous. And there's space on the board in Loftus Hall, and we're going to post these and talk about this. Because we're of the mind that by using words to change your brain and actions to change the environment, we can make a difference. So you get to do that. And if you didn't get one of the little colorful cards, there are some out in the foyer when you leave, some right by the jug for kindspring.org for your loose change. In addition, next to that, there is a typed copy of a spiritual mind treatment that was written by Reverend Dr. Kathy Hearn. Reverend Kathy Hearn was the spiritual leader for United at first, and then for a while with Centers for Spiritual Living before the big merger. And she was she had traveled to Syria a lot in her work for our centers. And so the obvious news things that are going on moved her to write a spiritual mind treatment in regards to this situation going on in Syria and the world. If you are so moved or interested in that, it's on our Facebook page. It's also printed out there that you may take a copy to read it, perhaps to include it in your spiritual practice, but it is there and available for you. So that we take these ideas of using words and actions to change your brain, to transform your life, to transform our lives, to transform this community, which then ripples itself out to other communities. Even if they're not called Centers for Spiritual Living, it isn't about that. Because we're trying to dissolve the separation, the duality, and bring us into that concept that we talk about so much, which is oneness. So we get to go to a neutral zone. Some Buddhists like to call it beginner's mind. I don't know if you're familiar with that phrase, but really beginner's mind is coming to that place where you see things new and fresh. And I remember I was facilitating a meditation and visioning group for people I didn't know. Some academics and some people who were seasoned meditators, and we were sitting around the table and we finished the meditation, and one person turned to me and said, "Oh, that was lovely, but forgive me, but that was just so beginner's mind." And I sat with that for a second and I thought, you were being polite about it, but you didn't mean that as a compliment. And I actually think it is. Again, it's not to be airy-fairy about things. However, if I can sit with any of you, all of you, sit with a challenge that I'm working on, sit with difficult headlines in the news, and have a beginner's mind, which means I am present, I am relaxed, I am open, I'm listening to the still small voice within, I am awake and aware, I might respond differently instead of react. So I don't have a problem with being a beginner's mind. I don't have a problem with the neutral zone, which is one of the reasons actually why I wore gray today, because it's kind of that neutral color. I had to throw in a little pink because I had to. It's the fluffy part. The idea of being in the neutral zone where you can stand for a moment, get still, look at the past if you need to, think about perhaps and project something to the future, and yet be fully present and here now, by which you are choosing the thoughts, words, deeds, and actions that just fill your mind and your body and your life. If that's a beginner's mind, if that's the neutral zone, I'm all for it. And I think we often need to spend some time there with the deep listening. And then, while we're in the typically spelled neutral zone, then we go to the beginner's mind and we get to that, behold, I make all things new, and we move into the NEWtral Zone and we get to start afresh. And what greater gift is there? That's why I think we have Happy New Year's celebrations, because it gives us the cosmic and collective permission to go, here now, show me what you will have me do. Tell me what you will have me say. Tell me where you will have me go and with whom, so that I may serve the highest and the best that is in me. That's my NEWtral Zone. So what I'd like to do is ask that we close now, you go into a little process, and as we do, before I do our spiritual mind treatment, I'm going to ask the licensed ministers and practitioners to come and stand with me. And then before I actually do the treatment, I'm going to read a little bit of a tiny prayer from Rabbi Zoe Klein from the Temple Isaiah in Los Angeles that was written for Rosh Hashanah. And I don't know if we have any challah to offer in social hour today, but as you break bread and eat bread, think about that and celebrating and breaking the bread into the new year. So for everyone now, please just close your eyes. And I really ask that you do that this time, even if you're used to meditating with your eyes open, because I want to tune out any of the light, the sparkles, the colors, the faces, the personalities, and just breathe, relax, be present, listen deeply. This year, may we discover a new prayer in our hearts. May we be moved to act for social change, and may we become aware of all the hidden stars inside our friends, inside our family, and inside ourselves. So joining with them in the concept of a new year, a new page, stepping into or from the NEWtral Zone, we may know and proclaim that there is only one life, and that life is God's life, Spirit's life, call it what you will. That which animates us, that which gave us life, capital L in the beginning, that which supports and sustains us each and every day along the way, even when there are difficult things that come to pass. And we have to remember, it came to pass. People, places, things, events come before our attention so that we may be present with it, know our authentic truth, and then let it pass. And we move forward, taking another step into the greater idea of God as each of us individually and as a collective community, whether the community is your family, your workplace, this center, how you engage and enjoin and belong. And so when I affirm and know that, and I know that this starts afresh and anew, I claim all of that goodness, that awareness and mindfulness for each of us. For everyone here who is part of our community, for everyone we touch who is part of the extended community of God. And that we stay clear and mindful and in the neutral zone, ready, willing, and able to do the work that is before us to do, using loving, kind words to change our brain, to change our life, to change the world. And I know that Spirit will give us whatever we need to make that sure and sweet. Oh. I pause for a moment, breathing, listening, allowing, affirming, and letting it be. I ask that you join me together as we say, and so it is, and so I am, and so we are. Amen.